Ava Thompson had barely finished taping the last glitter star onto her poster when Ms. Jennifer Clark's voice crashed through the classroom like a slammed door. Ava Thompson, stop lying right now. 28 third graders went still. Ava stood at the front holding her project on space careers, her palms a little sweaty, her heart thudding because speaking in front of everyone already felt huge. She hadn't even reached the best part yet, the part about her dad. Ms. Clark strode over, snatched the poster out of her hands and tugged so hard one corner tore. Your father is not a NASA astronaut, she snapped, waving the ripped edge like evidence. Stop inventing stories to impress your classmates. Heat rushed to Ava's face. But Ms. Clark, it's true. My dad works at Johnson Space Center. Enough! Ms. Clark cut her off with a laugh that wasn't funny. Kids like you always make up big lies about their parents to feel special. Astronauts don't live in little houses in Riverside Gardens. They're important people. They have degrees from expensive schools. They don't come from there. The word there hung in the air like something dirty. The room went silent in that way Ava had learned to recognize. The silence that says everyone is watching you decide whether to shrink. A couple of kids looked away. Others stared like they were waiting for her to disappear. Tyler, the blonde boy in the front row, lifted his hand halfway. Maybe her dad really... Tyler, sit down. We're not validating lies, Ms. Clark said, then turned back to Ava wearing a smile that was all sugar on the outside and glass underneath. Sweetie, there's nothing wrong with ordinary jobs. My dad was a mechanic. I was proud of him, but lying is ugly. Ava was 9, but in that moment she felt something black children learn too early. The weight of being disbelieved before you even speak. Her eyes burned, but she didn't cry. Not here. Not in front of people who were already deciding who she was. Ms. Clark, she said quietly, voice steady because her parents had taught her that calm is a kind of power. My father came back yesterday from a 3-week training mission. He's coming at 2 o'clock to talk about space exploration. You can call the office and confirm. Mrs. Clark laughed again, louder, as if a child's certainty was hilarious. Ava, stop digging yourself deeper. You're embarrassing yourself. What Ms. Clark didn't know, what she hadn't bothered to check, was that Dr. Michael Thompson had indeed landed at Ellington Force Base the night before, after 3 intensive weeks preparing for his next mission to the International Space Station. She didn't know he had chosen Riverside Gardens on purpose, a quiet, multicultural neighborhood 15 minutes from the Space Center, because he wanted his daughter to grow up grounded, safe, and normal in a world that loves to turn astronauts into trophies. She didn't know Ava's mother, Dr. Lisa Thompson, led research on astronaut medicine. She didn't know any of it because she'd already decided a black girl from that neighborhood couldn't possibly be telling the truth. Ava went back to her seat holding her torn poster, shoulders straight, chin up, the way her father stood when someone questioned his work. And maybe that's what bothered Ms. Clark most. Ava didn't look ashamed. She looked certain. Under the table, Ava checked the emergency phone her mom let her carry. A message lit the screen. Princess finishing prep here. I'm bringing surprises that'll make the class light up. Love you. Anyone who knew Ava knew it was something else. It was the smile of someone who trusts the truth to land where it needs to land. But Ms. Clark wasn't done. At recess, she paraded the story in the teacher's lounge like gossip. Can you believe it, she said, stirring her coffee. That little black girl told the whole class her dad is an astronaut. Attention-seeking fantasy. Someone needs to bring these kids back to reality. Miss Martinez next door frowned. Jennifer, are you sure? You might want to check before... Carmen, I've taught 15 years. I know when a child is lying, Ms. Clark said with the confidence of someone who has never had to question her own bias. Astronauts do not live in Riverside Gardens, period. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Ava quietly taped her poster back together. A couple kids whispered. Some pitied her, some doubted her. Tyler slid over and whispered, I believe you. My dad says the most important people are usually the ones nobody knows. Ava blinked at him, grateful. Thanks, Tyler. Before that kindness could settle, Ms. Clark swept back in. Ava, come to the front. Her voice had that fake patient tone teachers use when they want to look reasonable while cornering you. Ava walked up, spine tall. Ms. Clark addressed the class like she was about to teach a lesson, and in a way she was just not the one she thought. Class, we're going to practice critical thinking. Ava, where exactly does your father work? Johnson Space Center in Houston. He's a life support systems specialist, kids murmured, impressed despite themselves. Ms. Clark smiled thinly. How interesting. And do you have pictures of him in space? Certificates on your wall? A spacesuit just lying around at home? Ava saw the trap, felt it closing, but she told the truth anyway. For security reasons, Dad can't bring everything home. But yes, we have some pictures. Oh, of course, Ms. Clark laughed. Security reasons. How convenient. Right then, another text buzzed on Ava's phone in her bag. Princess, Dad's packing real EVA gear. It's going to be unforgettable. Even Ms. Clark paused. Those words were too specific to be invented by a 9-year-old. But instead of reconsidering, she doubled down. C-class? The lies keep growing. First an astronaut dad, now a scientist mom. Ava, sweetie, you know the difference between imagination and reality, right? Something sharpened in Ava's eyes. Not anger, not tears. Determination. The kind her father used when he talked about trajectories and tight windows and not wasting oxygen on panic. Ms. Clark, Ava said calmly, when my father arrives at 2, would you like to apologize in front of the class? Or would you rather wait until he explains to the whole school how astronauts breathe in a zero gravity? The room went dead quiet. Even the kids who'd been smirking straightened. Ms. Clark blinked, stunned that a quiet girl she'd tried to crush had just stood her ground. Ava Thompson, she said sharply, go to the principal's office. Now. Ava picked up her bag with slow, deliberate calm. At the doorway, she turned back to her classmates. Tyler, can you write on the board that at 2 o'clock, we're learning about life support in space? Dad promised to bring real equipment. Then she walked out, leaving Ms. Clark with uncertainty for the first time all day. In the office, Mrs. Rodriguez, the secretary, looked at Ava with gentle concern. Honey, want me to call your parents? Ava shook her head. No need. Dad's coming at 2 anyway. Mrs. Rodriguez hesitated. Something about Ava's calm didn't fit a child caught in a lie. She checked the school records and felt her stomach drop. Father, NASA employee, mother medical research scientist. She whispered, "Oh Lord," and called the principal. Across town, Dr. Michael Thompson was sealing a transport case. Inside, a real EVA helmet, a portable life support unit, oxygen tanks, comms gear items that cost more than most people's cars. A colleague watched wide-eyed. Mike, you're taking mission equipment to an elementary school. Michael snapped the latches shut gently. My daughter was called a liar for telling the truth about her family. He looked up, calm but blazing. She shouldn't have to fight that battle alone. At Lincoln Elementary, Principal Patterson listened to Mrs. Rodriguez's report, then to Ava's factual retelling. Ava didn't dramatize. She didn't beg. She spoke like someone who knew the data would speak for itself. She even showed the principal family photos, her dad in a jumpsuit by a simulator, grinning into the camera with the kind of tired joy only people doing hard, important work carry. Does your father know what happened? The principal asked. Not yet, Ava said. He said he's coming at 2, so I thought it's better he finds out then. He doesn't like surprises that aren't planned. The principal studied her. Ava, aren't you nervous? Ava tilted her head the way her mother did when she weighed a question. My mom makes medicine so people don't get sick in space. My dad keeps astronauts alive where mistakes can kill. They taught me that when facts are on your side, nervousness is wasted energy. 2 suited aides unloaded equipment that looked like it belonged on another planet. Then Dr. Michael Thompson stepped out in a NASA jumpsuit with mission patches glittering in the sun. A real space helmet tucked under his arm. In room 204, Ms. Clark tried to teach fractions with hands that shook. She'd gotten the principal's call and still tried to convince herself Ava was exaggerating. The door opened. Principal Patterson entered first, then 2 NASA aides carrying cases. Then Dr. Thompson filled the doorway. 28 kids went silent in one breathy wave. You don't forget the first time you see an astronaut in your classroom, especially when he looks like you. Dr. Thompson didn't need to raise his voice. His presence did the speaking. Ms. Clark, he said evenly, calm like someone used to making decisions at 17,000 miles an hour. I believe you requested verification of my daughter's statement. Ms. Clark's face drained. She clutched her desk like it was the only solid thing left in her world. Tyler's hand shot up. Sir, have you really been to space? 3 times, Dr. Thompson said. And the kids gasped like he'd said he'd been to the moon. The aides began setting up gear helmets, oxygen rigs, comm units transforming the classroom into a mini space lab. Ms. Clark shrank into the corner. Irrelevant. Dr. Thompson turned back to her, polite but unyielding. I think you owe Ava a few words. Ms. Clark's eyes filled with frantic tears. Dr. Thompson, I made a mistake. Yes, he said simply. You assume my daughter was lying because she is black. Because we live in a neighborhood you decided doesn't match your picture of important people. You taught this room that humiliation is education. That's a dangerous lesson. The class was so quiet you could hear the hum of the projector warming up. Dr. Thompson knelt beside Ava, hand resting gently on her shoulder. Princess, I'm sorry you had to carry that alone today. You handled it with strength and dignity. I'm proud of you. Ava didn't gloat. She just breathed easier. Then Dr. Thompson stood and addressed every child, his voice full of the kind of hope that changes trajectories. Listen to me. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your skin looks like, or how big your house is. If you want to touch the stars, you study, you work, and you don't let anyone decide your limits for you. His eyes flicked to Ms. Clark on the word anyone, not cruel, just factual. The rest of the afternoon was magic. Kids tried on helmets. They learned how oxygen cycles, how comms work, how astronauts sleep standing up, how life support is the difference between wonder and disaster. They didn't just learn science. Principal Patterson rolled out strict anti-discrimination training that became a model for the district. And Ava carried a lesson she didn't ask to learn but will never forget. Truth has gravity. The more people try to push it down with prejudice, the harder it rises back up, landing right in the middle of the room for everyone to see. If this story hit you in the chest, subscribe to Truly Black and White, because sometimes the sweetest justice isn't revenge. It's watching the truth walk in, wearing a spacesuit and realizing no bias on Earth can hold it down.